Thank you to Taro Wolf for their generous donation on Patreon. Hello everyone, my name is Escalating the Trained Unprofessional, and welcome to Adastra. This is a game made by Howley, written by Howley, with new illustrators. Howley, if you don't know, being the principal writer behind Echo. Echo is tied for my #1 favorite visual novel of all time, so I figured might as well give anything else they do a shot. I don't know diddly dick about this. It looks like it has a prehistoric thing going on about it. I also heard that it's sci-fi, maybe? I don't honestly have a fucking clue, so let's just get started. Oh, I'm excited. If this is another Echo, it's so big. Let's see. What is so big? It's too much. How do they get anything done? Sensing doubt, shall we proceed with the directive, Amicus? Is that a computer? Amicus. I don't know. Are you sure they're level 5? Data from mission 32C5193 indicates primate species with level 5 intelligence. And... Yeah, I get it, thanks. Most recent data indicates that all uplift attempts failed. Figures. Why did we try to uplift here in the first place? Sensing doubt, shall we proceed? Name of the planet. Earth. Location of Romanus uplift? The city of Rome, in the state of Italy. Is the probe there? It has arrived. Give me a visual. Zoom in. That doesn't look like Adastra at all. Reminder that uplift failed. Ruins of uplift attempt remain. Show me the ruins. Showing a Roman forum. Sensing doubt. Shut up, please. The hell are they even saying? That's not the language. It's all messed up. Sensing. That creature there. They are called humans. Get closer. It's a human? Collecting data. He appears to be a young male human. Have you located the directive? Yes. It's hard to believe that I'm actually here. After years of fantasizing about it, I'm in Rome. I've been bouncing around with my friends like an idiot all day. Yeah, I look like a total tourist, but this is what I've been saving up for the past 2 years. A whole semester in Rome with a study abroad program. All the conversations I've had with my parents about what a waste of money it would be evaporates from my brain as I take in the view. Only have a few hours, so we move from Forum to Palatine Hill, and then finally to a nearby disco where I get just a little drunk. Before I know it, it's 2 in the morning, and somehow my friends and I are able to stumble to a taxi that takes us back to our apartments. I walk unsteadily through the darkness, glad that I have the place to myself for now. Apparently, my group was the first to arrive, and my assigned flatmates won't be here for a few days at least. I open the door to my room and move my hand along the wall. I stumble in and sit on my bed, bouncing happily for a moment. I think about going onto the balcony, but I've been walking all day and it feels nice to be sitting down. Plus, it might not be a great idea considering the state I'm in right now. Still, just knowing the magic of the city is just outside my window is gonna make it hard to sleep. I sigh happily and look around my little room. Actually, I'm told that it's kinda big by this city's standards. It's still a little bare since I just moved in today. I basically just dropped my suitcases next to the door before running out again. I glance at them, but decide I'm way too tired right now to unpack. I'll get it tomorrow. In the meantime, I just lay back, smiling in the afterglow of today's excitement, and tomorrow I'll get to see even more. Damn it, I need to calm down. No way am I gonna have the energy I'll need tomorrow if I'm up all night. I've got the whole semester, and on top of that, school doesn't actually start for another 2 weeks. There's plenty of time. Just relax for now,
and enjoy it. With that thought in my head, I start to drift off. Something moves. I lay there in the dark, wondering if I dreamed it. I had been dreaming, even though I can't exactly remember what it was about. Something about a portal, maybe? I listen for a while, but there's no other sound, just the occasional soft whoosh of a car passing by outside my balcony. I shift around a little. The suffocating humidity is making the sheets stick to my skin, and I wonder if maybe there's a fan in the closet? I finally sit up in bed, realizing that there's no way I'm going to fall back to sleep like this. I could at least try sliding over the balcony door. I'm not sure that'll do me any good. Worth a try, I guess. I groggily slide out of bed and try to slide the glass door open, but it doesn't budge. I struggle for a few more seconds before sighing and moving towards the door to find the light switch. My feet slide along the semi-cool wooden floor, which feels great, while my hands stretch out in front of me, searching for the wall. Right then, I remember I was woken up by noises, and I imagined some intruder standing there in the dark, waiting for me to bump into him. Feeling the hairs stand up at the back of my neck, I quicken my pace and find the wall, fumbling around until I quickly glance around the room, relieved that it is empty. My parents had warned me about the crime rate here. While the city is technically safe in terms of murder, robberies, and muggings, in terms of murder, robberies and muggings are apparently pretty common. I had shrugged it off at the time, but now that I'm alone, I make my way to the balcony looking for the lock before finally seeing that there's a latch near the top of the door. I unhook it and slowly slide the door open. I'm disappointed to find the air wafting from outside is almost as stuffy as the air inside. Still, I take a moment to stare out at the lights of the city for a while. Even though I'm more interested in the ruins, the city itself is undeniably beautiful. Nothing like my hometown. That's when I notice that there's a strange smell in the air, like burning rubber. I stick my head out a bit further, looking around for the source, but I see nothing. Maybe that's normal here? I look back at the clock on the wall, 1 a.m. I sigh and shuffle back to bed, only realizing that I've left the light on once I've already fallen back first onto the covers. I sigh and will myself to get up, but the tiredness has returned to the heavy humidity. The heavy humidity is almost like a warm blanket pressing down on me. I close my eyes. I'll get up and turn it off in a second. I just need to rest my eyes for a bit. Just for a bit. Something moves again, and there's another smell in the air. A good smell this time. Something floral. It reminds me of lavender. And that's when something hard and sharp presses into my left eye socket. Oh my Jesus, just above the eye. Doesn't really hurt, but it shocks me awake. Holy tits, who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this person? It leans over me, something shiny in its grip while it's pulling back from my head. I kick it with both feet, hitting the thing leaning over me in its body. At a pole. It lets out a surprised grunt, stumbling back and falling on its rear while I scramble back on my bed, pressing myself against the wall. Almost immediately, it scrambles back up, revealing its massive build and masculine shape. He adjusts his cape and smooths back his fur before rubbing at his chest, giving me an odd look. Then he fixes a smile back on his face. Hey! I stare. That's all I can do is stare. He stares back at me for a moment, then clears his throat. Hello! The space above my left eye throbs, and it sounds like I'm hearing two things at once from the same voice. Do you understand? Again, the bizarre twitching in my eye and my brain hearing two things at once. I feel like I'm going to be sick. The room shifts and swirls a bit, then slowly starts to settle again. The twitching in my head turns to a dull throb. I'm having a nightmare. Do you understand me? I stare at him and he stares back. I don't know if the chip is working. What? Well, he can speak. Can you understand me? When am I going to wake up? keeps staring at me, and automatically I respond to him. Yes? Ha, good. Seems it's finally working now. They take a moment to adjust to the host brain. I struggle to keep up with his words. I'm still hearing what he's saying. It's almost Italian with inflections of rolling R's, but at the same time, it's definitely not Italian. Still, I can understand what he's saying, like he's speaking my own language at the same time. It makes it hard to concentrate. What is your name? Oh, yes. Last time we gave a name was Benjamin Harrison. So technically we should do Grover Cleveland again, but we're not doing Grover Cleveland again. It's the same guy, even though he was elected to 2 non-consecutive terms of office. So next would be William McKinley. So we are William? I'm pretty sure we've already done a character named William before. Fuck it. William! My name is William. His expectant look almost forces the answer out of my mouth. William. William, beautiful. I am Amicus. The confusing double language I was hearing is starting to fade, and now only my own language comes from his mouth. It's odd, the words not quite matching up with his lips. What's even more distracting are the massive canines that continue to flash behind those lips. I need to get the hell out of here. Dream or not, I don't like the look of the teeth or the claws on this thing. Is the language having troubles again? I don't respond, instead glancing at the door just to the right of behind this Amicus. He frowns. Come, you told me they're level 5, I can't even speak with it. Takes me a moment to realize he's not talking to me. I hear a soft chatter coming from the wolf, like he's talking to him from a phone, but I can't see anything. Yeah, well, he kicked me in the chest! Amicus rubs his chest with a frown, more muffled speaking. Of course I didn't, he just up and kicked me! He's looking at me like he has no idea... More muffled speaking interrupts him. Oh, wait, what? Are you serious? Now he looks pissed, and I press myself harder against the wall, trying to work up the courage to make a break for the door. Wait, so you're always offering me opinions on my mood, but you couldn't offer me that? More muffled babbling, but the wolf thing interrupts it with a snarl. Well, what the hell do I do now? His lips are drawn back, and now I have to have a real good view of those canines. I stare wide-eyed at them, and that's when he seems to notice me again. He readjusts his expression into a smile, but I can still see a fang poking out. Hey, listen! Something about the way he acts, his expression, his demeanor. He's so... human. Could you come with me outside real quick? For some reason, the realization of this humanness makes me absolutely positive that this is a dream. This must be a character from a game or movie that I'd seen. I shake my head slowly at him. Please? I just stare, still waiting to wake up. I've had dreams where I couldn't wake up before, but this is one of those. I remember reading somewhere that if you aren't sure you're dreaming, you can plug your nose. If you can still breathe, then it's definitely a dream. But I remain frozen against the wall. The massive wolf sighs. And his paw suddenly moves to his waist. I only have a moment to see some sort of device with multicolored lights before he moves and my entire body seizes up and things go black. My body feels strangely numb. It's like when I wake up with a dead leg or arm, except right now it's my entire body. The only thing I can really feel is a sharp, cold pain behind and above my left eye. I try to wiggle my fingers and hands, wondering if I'm having some sort of sleep paralysis. They move. At least I think they do. Everything's so dark. Am I still in the apartment? Usually there's a little bit of light coming from the balcony because of the street lamps, but everything is pitch black. I start to feel a little panicky, both from the numb feeling and also the idea that I might have gone blind somehow. I should remember what happened last. Did I go out somewhere? Maybe a club? The disco. Did I take something? I start to push myself up, and that's when I feel something soft under my hands. Something very hard under it, like concrete. I'm definitely not in a bed right now. Now I'm really starting to panic, wondering if I've been kidnapped. Get on my hands and knees, thankful that at least the numb feeling is going away. I'm also relieved to find out that I'm not blind. I see a soft glow of light outlining what's roughly the shape of a door in front of me. I open my mouth, about to call out before I force it shut again. I have no idea where I am or how I got here, but I'm not liking the signs. My head throbs a little, and I close my eyes tight, trying to steady my breathing, listening to my heart pound. I definitely got back to my apartment, and I remember going to bed. Then I remember... My eyes fly open. I remember that wolf creature staring at me with those blue eyes. And those teeth! Oh my god, there's no way. There's no fucking way! I open my eyes and stare at the soft light, trying to listen. There's a constant hum of some kind, a whirring of a large machine. It's gentle and almost soothing, but it makes me think that I'm in some sort of vehicle. But I don't feel anything. No bumps or turns. I slowly crawl towards the door, listening as hard as I can for voices or movement, anything that might tell me that someone's nearby. As I get closer to the door, I do hear something, a type of beeping and chirping. I stay in that position what feels like a solid 15 minutes, not hearing anything anymore. I think about trying to open the door, but I realize that might not be a great idea. I still don't know if that wolf is real. I know he isn't real. What's more likely is that someone slipped something into my drink and I hallucinated everything. I'd laughed off my parents' warnings that tourists are vulnerable in Rome, and now that doesn't seem so crazy. Someone had drugged me, followed me to my apartment, and then kidnapped me. I need something, a weapon, before I try opening the door. I feel like I'm in a closet of some kind, so there's probably something here I can use. Slowly, I get on my knees and start moving forward, waving my hands out in front of me. If I can find the shelves, then I can feel around for something solid, and... My hand sweeps what feels like a box, and what follows is a clang of metal as something falls to the floor. I cringe, squeezing my eyes shut as the sound echoes around the room I'm in. I kneel there in complete silence, stunned. And that's when the light spills over my body, followed by a large shadow. Oh hey, you're awake! Did you know he was awake? Yes.
Yes, for approximately 0.2 hours.
I swear to the gods, why are you so useless? I sit there, not having turned around, but the shadow gets bigger as I feel him looming over me. I get a whiff of lavender. Finally, I slowly turn my head and see the wolf. Oh god, we're in space! He towers over me, his broad muzzle pointed down so he can look me right in the eye. While his size and general demeanor are intimidating, his eyes are warm and friendly. It doesn't really matter to me right now as I realize I hadn't been dreaming or hallucinating either. But the dream hallucination is ongoing. The wolf moves towards me and I immediately scoot back until the shelves behind me dig into my spine. I vaguely notice the metal thing I'd knocked over. It's a polygon-shaped thing with a long cord running out of it.
Remember, the human doesn't know anything about it.
Galaxius.
Proceed with caution.
The wolf's ears flick before he visibly tries to write his expression into a smile. Hello, human. Sorry, I mean, William, right? Again, I get caught up in watching his movements of his mouth counter to what I'm hearing in my brain. Then I notice he's waiting, watching me intently. I open my mouth, then close it, then nod. The wolf then still stares at me, seeming not to understand. Right? The silence stretches on until I finally force myself to speak. Yes. It comes out in barely a whisper. Great! So now that we understand that, I can tell you that I am from Star Stella Vita, very far from here. The wolf sets his paws far apart, his eyes wide as he emphasizes the distance. He's talking to me in a way that one might to a very dumb 2-year-old. I live on a moon called Adastra. Do you know what a moon is? You live on what's called a planet. I stare at him for a moment, almost offended despite my continuing shock. Amicus smiles gently. A moon is a I know what a moon is. Amicus blinks at me. We have one. My words feel automatic. Actually, everything feels like it's on autopilot right now. Oh, well, I didn't know that. That's great. There's an awkward silence as the two of us stare at each other. The initial fear is wearing off. I feel that if this alien is meaning to hurt me, he would have done so by now. At least, for now. Amicus rubs his paws together, nervously. Are you hungry? He motions at his mouth, then rubs his stomach while licking his lips. Again, gestures and expressions I have no trouble interpreting. The only alien thing about him is his appearance. I don't know. The wolf frowns, almost looking frustrated. His slow speech gets even slower. Well, why don't we give it a try, then? I guess my answers don't exactly make me seem intelligent, but I don't know how else to respond. Why don't you come out onto the deck with me? I'll make something. Amicus gives an exaggerated "come on" gesture with both of his paws as he walks backwards straight into the wall as he misses the door. Yeah, let's go, human. He rubs the back of his head with a wince before turning and walking out the door. I stare at the open door for a moment before slowly getting up and following him, walking over a brown shag rug and the soft thing I'd been laying on. That's when I'm standing in the middle of what looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's small and cramped, but the amount of unfamiliar glowing technology is almost overwhelming. Glass panels cover almost every inch of the walls around me, displaying images and characters that I can't even come close to understanding. Straight ahead of me are large windows looking out into a blackness dotted with specks of light. Specks of light. I'm in a spaceship. Where the hell is he taking me? Amicus is over to my right side, messing with what I can only describe as a large espresso machine growing out of the side of the spaceship. He's holding a cup under his nozzle, ducking down a little to stare at the opening. He notices me looking. Takes a while to warm up. I have to warn you, it's not very good. But it's probably better than most what you eat on your moon planet, I mean. Just as he's talking, a very thick globule of brown sludge shoots out of the nozzle, half of it missing the cup. God damn it. The wolf hastily moves the cup to catch the rest of it while reaching over with his other paw to snatch a rag from a hook on the side of the machine. Sorry, this thing is near broken. Do you want to sit down? He nods his head over to one of the two seats in front of the windows. Just, don't touch any of the bright lights, okay? I make way over in front of the deck, still waiting to wake up. I stand beside the seat, reaching out to touch the soft red bristles of the helmet and the wings on the sides. This only enforces the feeling that I'm hallucinating or dreaming. There's a strange Roman influence to Amicus in the ship, one that's almost cartoonish. Has my obsession with Rome gone too far? I can just imagine myself in some Italian hospital right now, babbling about Roman wolf aliens. Go on and sit. Amicus plants himself heavily in the seat next to mine, holding 2 cups of what looks like brown sludge. He holds one out to me. I take it gingerly before sitting down. Looking into the cup, the food has a consistency of look with half-melted chocolate ice cream. Except it's warm and smells like dirt, like literal mud. I scrunch my nose up at it, which Amicus notices. Yeah, it's not the best. I actually had some good food that I brought along with me, but I ate it all before I got here. The wolf shrugs, then settles excitedly into his seat. So tell me about where you're from. What's life like on Earth? It's okay. Okay, well, what's your occupation? I'm a student. Oh, what discipline? I try to adjust to the surreal feeling of talking to this wolf. I don't know yet. I was looking into history, Greek and Roman studies. It seems confusing to him for some reason. Do you have an emperor? What's he like? I catch myself staring at his mouth again, in the weird way his mouth is unsynced to its words. No. Then how? I interrupt him. Why isn't your mouth matching up with the sounds you're making? Huh? Even with the spaceship and alien around me, it's the weird distortion of feeling I'm watching a dubbed movie that has me most unsettled. Oh! Amicus points a finger at me to a spot just above my left eye. I gave you a lingua. It helps you understand me. I stare at him, but he doesn't offer anything more. How? Oh, well, it sort of attaches to the language center in the brain. It's very smart. It learns from the host brain and is able to interpret the 8 major galaxias and languages for them. And how does it do that? Well, our brains are structured in similar ways, at least among sapiens, so it works almost universally. Honestly, it's parental tech, so I'm not fully sure of how it works. None of us do, but it does work. Amicus continues to look at me, clearly concerned about something. But I'm concerned too. How did you get it into my brain? You know, you ask a lot of questions. I stare at him. Well, this is all kinda new to me. Should I not be asking questions? It's fine. I've just never had a child ask me questions, really. Anyway, there's a device that inserts it. I was lucky to find one left over on the ship. Inserts it. I rub the spot between my eye and my eye socket. The skin's slightly tender. Does it hurt? That should wear off in a few hours. I stare at Amicus for a few moments, then down at my cup, feeling a bit sick. Staring at the brown mush isn't helping. Need help with that? You can eat it like this. He dips his muzzle down towards his own cup. He slicks out a long, thick pink tongue, pressing it into the sludge before cupping it up and bringing it back into his mouth. He pulls a bit of a face before smiling. Not terrible! Then he looks at me a bit closer. Wait, you do have a tongue, right? I stare back at it for a moment before settling the cup to the side of an armrest. What are you doing? Huh? What is all this? Where are you taking me? At this point, I'm starting to get over the shock. I'm also starting to get annoyed at this alien's complete disregard for basically everything to do with me. You kidnapped me, left me in a closet, you're feeding me what looks like shit, and now you're telling me you jabbed something into my brain. Amicus actually flinches at that. Does it still hurt? I can give you a pain manager. I don't really want anything from you. What is all of this? Wolf just stares at me wide-eyed. It's like he doesn't even consider me being capable of being upset. Hey, it's okay. You kidnapped me! I feel myself getting more panicked, both from the realization of what's happened and what's currently happening. No! Well, I mean, you, tased me or something. What? You electrocuted me. No, it's not electricity. That doesn't make it better. For a brief moment, I think about overpowering this wolf, somehow turning the ship around, if I can figure it out.
Sensing hostile intent. Proceed with caution, Amicus.
Amicus doesn't say anything, and I see him gripping his cup tightly. I get the odd feeling that he didn't expect me to point these things out to him. Does he think that I was unintelligent? That I was that unintelligent? Can he tell I can tell he's calculating something in his head right now, and that makes me nervous. Maybe I should have just played dumb. We stare at each other for a long while until Amicus' steely gaze forces me to look away. I choose to glance up at the ceiling, deciding to change the subject and give myself some time to just think. What is that thing? Amicus clears his throat. What? That voice. And I up at the ceiling, in the vague direction where I heard the sound coming from. That thing can apparently sense my hostile intents. Oh! Amicus looks at the ceiling too. That's Computatrum, or Com. He's pretty annoying, aren't you, Com?
I can provide diagnostics on the ship, on the mood and competence of crewmates, on...
Thank you, Com. Anyway, he's not actually a sapient. He's a program that can process language and spit out information stored in his database. Amicus pauses. I'm sorry, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. I think I do. Artificial intelligence, maybe? I reach instinctively for the pocket of my jeans, but I remember that I left my phone on the bedside table. Amicus' eyes widen once again, and again I wonder if I should be keeping my mouth shut. Revealing how much I know seems to be some sort of trigger for him. So have you been in space before? No. I look out the window, staring at the stars. Okay. Have your people ever been to space? No, we haven't. Do you know what atoms are? Nuclear energy, maybe? No. Oh, he's playing dumb. Okay.
Based on Nexus analysis on Earth, these statements appear to be misleading, Amicus.
I glance at the ceiling again, realizing now that I've got a constant spy above me. I look back at Amicus and we stare at each other in silence for a long moment. Then I realize how absurd all of this is. What do you want with me? Amicus just looks away, seeming to think. Well, it's part of a program on my planet to introduce new aliens to the Galaxius. What is that? It's the Greater Galactic Civilization, William. It's a gradual study to slowly introduce Earth to the idea of other sapiens. Oh. Is this happening to other humans? Yes. I contemplate this for a moment. And when you're done showing me, you'll take me back? There's a momentary pause that I don't like very much. Yes. I imagine that I'd hear these statements appear to be misleading from calm right now if you were on my side. I look up into my cup of brown sludge again. Well, to be honest, I'm not all that interested, so could you take me back now? Amicus stares at me. I've got school and a family. They don't know where I am right now. Well, I don't see. Don't you want to see the galaxy? I really think that it would be amazing for someone like you that hasn't seen it before. The wolf starts fidgeting with his paws, not looking at me, choosing to stare at the windows. He isn't wrong. It would be pretty cool to see the galaxy, but not with someone like him who kidnapped me, taking me somewhere for a reason that he isn't telling me. No, I actually want to go home right now. Amicus stares at me for a full 10 seconds before looking away. How about we wait until we get to my home, and then we can discuss it? No, take me back. I feel my heart hammering in my chest as I start to realize this alien is definitely not going to take me back. I stand up, and Amicus flinches and brings his paws up to his chest as if I'm going to attack him. We stay like that for a moment. I'm breathing hard, staring down at the wolf, while Amicus stares back up at me wide-eyed. Finally, Amicus lets out a big sigh, looking back at the window. Okay, I'm going to take you back. I'm sorry. I watch him for a moment, looking for signs of sincerity, but he still won't look at me. Really? Yes. But it's complicated. We're on a trajectory for Adastra. It'll take some time for us to turn around. I keep watching him, not sure what to do. I feel like he's lying, but if he is, there's nothing we can really do about it. I'm stuck here with him, probably millions of miles from Earth, with no way of knowing how to get back. So I just stand there, arms folded tightly against my chest, staring out the window too. That's when I see a star, brighter than all the others, almost too bright to look at. Is that the sun? The what? Is that my star, my planet's star? Amicus squints in the direction I'm looking in. Oh yeah, that's your star. I can't remember the name we have for it. It's a bunch of numbers. How far away are we? Not far. We could get back there in no time. Amicus stands up next to me, seeming to stretch. So, are we going back? Yeah, just gotta do it in a way that doesn't waste too much energy. I still have to get back to Adastra after all. I stare in the direction of the sun again, my gaze slightly averted from the piercing dot. How long has it been since I was kidnapped? I wonder if my friends have alerted the school or even the authorities. How am I going to explain this? There's a movement to my right, and just as I'm turning to look, something cold presses into the side of my neck. A familiar sensation of my muscles tightening up makes me slam back into the seat. At the same time, my mind seems to wipe clean, empty. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by soft and warm gray fur. I feel like a limp blanket as I'm flopped around, my muscles like jelly. It's not a bad feeling. In fact, I kind of feel great. I would smile if my facial muscles were working. I'm laid on the ground and my arms are pushed behind me. Something starts to wind around my wrists.
Still detecting consciousness from the human. Insufficient charge used.
I used it on the lowest setting. I think I hit him with too much last time. Looks like he's mostly out anyway, though. I hear ragged breathing in my ears. My arms are jerked around. Damn it, he's more sapient than any child I've known.
Sensing distress. Would you like a stress tablet, Amicus?
Maybe even as intelligent as a wolf. Well, almost. I try to open my eyes, but my eyelids are too heavy to lift. My brain isn't really working either. I can't seem to focus. Padded footsteps move around my head. So when I hear what sounds like an alarm, followed by something I can't really explain, my mind startles as that deep voice starts up again. What do I do now? I've messed this up about as badly as I could have. Solutions come.
Solutions? Consider returning the human back to Earth. If no evidence is left behind, it is unlikely his statements to be believed.
Too late for that, since I just activated the stretch drive.
Yes, that was inadvisable.
Yeah, well, I don't know how advanced his species is. If he was being misleading, then that means they're spacefaring. They don't have patrols in their star system. I wanted to get out as soon as possible. You know you could have offered the solution before I did that.
You've set me to minimal interruptions.
Next solution.
Consider termination of the human and incineration of the remains through the radiation of the stench drive.
Edible, no! Next solution.
Consider taking the human to Adastra and use them as your pet as you originally planned. From there you may pass him off as less sapient. It is unlikely you will be questioned.
I don't know. He already despises me after what I just did.
Amicus.
The voice is so hard.
Alternative solutions point to a higher likelihood that the monitors will be alerted to your actions. Proceed with caution.
Come, please wipe the last 10 minutes of the conversation, and go into sleep mode until I wake you. I need to think.
Wiping memory. Entering sleep mode.
A few more moments of silence go by, and I feel a wave of fatigue. I start to fall asleep. The padded footsteps move closer to me as I feel a presence looming, and something heavy and soft rests on my forearm. I'm sorry. This was a mistake. Then I'm dragged for a short while before I come to rest on something shaggy and soft. Then silence. Then sleep. I float in a void of nothingness. Not even blackness. Nothingness. The feeling of having no sense of self. The boundaries of my being having no boundaries. It makes me panic. I'm still here, but nothing else remains. Am I all there is? I feel the borders of my sanity start to bend and break. It only lasts a moment before something massive and all-encompassing grabs a hold of me. Instantly I'm comforted, calmed by a sense of complete security. All is as it should be. I crack my eyes and open to a gray ceiling, the familiar hum of the ship in my ears. My back aches as I feel my hands bunched up underneath me, making me arch uncomfortably. The numbness isn't there like last time. Instead, it just feels like I woke up from a deep sleep. I can tell I'm back in the utility closet laying on the shag rug, but the door is open, allowing me to actually see. Slowly, I turn my head just a bit, and I'm able to vaguely make out the small deck that I'd just been in. I see Amicus in the far right, with his paws resting on the counter, with the food dispenser looking down at the panel. He's got his back to me at an angle, one foot crossed behind the other, his tail swishing back and forth while he mumbles to himself. As slowly as I can, I turn over to my side, trying not to let out a groan of relief as my back and hands are relieved of pressure. I grimace through the pain of having blood rush back into my fingers. That's when I realize my hands are tied at the wrists behind my back with a cord of some kind. The ends of it dangle through my fingers and it feels smooth and metallic. Some slow movements with my hands tell me immediately that they haven't been tied well. My left hand is fairly secure, but the loop around my right is loose. I get the feeling that if I pull hard enough, I might be able to slip it, and just like that it comes out. My shoulder jerks when I do it, and I freeze, waiting to see if Amicus might notice. He goes on staring down at the panel, leaning forward to rest his chin on a fist. Cassius is probably going to figure out right away, I know it. Amicus sighs and hunches over further. I let out the breath I'm holding as quietly as I can before I start looking around, moving my head as little as possible. On the shelves are a variety of different objects that I can't identify. They all have a heavy industrial look to them, and I know that I could use any of them as a weapon. There's a long pipe-like object at the end of the bottom shelf, and I imagine hefting that in both hands, bringing it to the end and down on top of the stupid wolves. Amicus suddenly straightens up and I stiffen, closing my eyes. I hear the wolf move, padding in my direction. That continues until there's a pause and I can feel his presence standing in the doorway. I crack open an eye, just a tiny bit to see what he might be doing. I get the vague image of him standing over me, looking down. Hello? The human? William? I don't move as I breathe as evenly as I can. Hello? He must know I'm awake. I can feel myself shaking from all the tension. Damn it. Amicus mumbles to himself and he turns away, moving back towards the deck. That's when I realize that this must be the best chance to make my move. He's not going to take me back. He's knocked me out twice, and that's reason enough to do what I'm about to do. As quietly as I can, I roll over and reach out for the metal pipe. By some miracle, I manage to not clang it against the metal rack it's on. Quietly, I bring it up in both hands as I stand. It's heavy, a lot heavier than I expected, but I can manage it. I focus on the retreating wolf's back and move at a half run, my bare feet allowing me to quietly pad towards him. Despite that, I see his ears come up at the last second, his body starting to shift in a way that tells me he's about to turn around, and I swing. What happens next is something I can't explain. I aim for his head, wanting to cause as much damage as possible, not really thinking about the consequences of what might happen if I seriously injure or even kill him. But for some inexplicable reason, the trajectory of my swing suddenly dips down as if caused by some invisible magnet, making me miss Amicus's head. The strange force doesn't lessen the power of my swing, though, and it carries through and lands with a hard, meaty thump onto the side of the wolf's thick neck. Ah! Amicus cringes, both paws moving to cover the back and side of his neck, dropping into a crouch. He looks back at me, his eyes wide and wild, an expression that sends a shot of fear into my body. I suddenly see him as a wild animal, a wild, scared, and very angry animal. I raise the pipe again over my head to bring it down on the head I just missed, but Amicus is fast. He leaps up from a crouch in an upward-forward motion straight into my chest. I wheeze, but manage to stay on my feet as the wolf carries me backward and slammed against the wall of the deck. Amicus snarls into my face, teeth bared, one eye wincing shut. I struggle, but there's no way. He handles me like a rag doll, like a toy. This must be how someone feels during a wild animal attack, completely helpless, suddenly wondering why evolution left us so damn defenseless. What the hell are you doing? Ugh! Amicus yells at me as he lets go of one of my wrists to put a paw to his neck, cringing as he does. Fuck! I struggle with my freed hand grabbing Amicus's face and trying to gouge his eyes and nose. The wolf immediately lets go of his neck and grabs the pipe. He wrenches it away, and I try to hold on and nearly get lifted off my feet. He swings it one way, then violently in the other direction, throwing me to the floor of the deck as I lose my grip on my weapon. Amicus advances on me as I lay flat on my back, staring up at him, wide-eyed, realizing how big of a mistake I've made, thinking I could even handle a 7-foot-tall, muscle-bound wolf. I wonder if he's going to come at me with the pipe, but he throws it to the side. He starts to lean over me, still snarling. You little prick! This time I'm gonna bind you up to your shoulders. How does that sound? He grabs up one of my arms, trying to pull me up, but I go limp. Get up! Otherwise I'm gonna make you! He grabs my other arm. That's when I notice his wide stance over me and a particular bulge between his legs. I hardly think about it, drawing one foot back as I launch it as hard as I can into his crotch. I feel a distinctively soft form get flattened under my foot as it gets trapped between the force of my kick and the substantial weight of Amicus's body. If there was any doubt in my mind that this male alien would be affected by any differently compared to a male human, his reaction quashed it. Amicus freezes, eyes wide, hunching over me even further while his thighs snap together, trapping my foot. We both stay frozen for an awkward length of time as I stare at what I've just done. And that's when I see the device hanging on his waistband, the one that he'd been using to knock me out. I struggle to pull my foot free as the surprisingly tight embrace of his thighs, while at the same time pulling my hands out of his now limp grasp. I reach for his waist, grabbing the device. Amicus, probably distracted by the unexpected nut shot, doesn't seem to notice that I finally yank my foot free. As I stumble to my feet, the alien half-heartedly grabs at me, and I struggle against his paws before reaching over his red cape and pulling it over his head. Amicus finally stumbles back, one paw flying to his crotch, the other one struggling with his cape as he stays bent over, mouth hanging open and his eyes wide, making a weird gasping sound like he was holding his breath. I look at the device in my hands, desperately trying to understand how to use it. A glass panel takes up most of the face of the device like a phone, but two metal prongs stick out on the end. I frantically push at the screen, and it comes to life, displaying a vertical bar. About a tenth of it is filled up from the bottom with a light blue color. I push at it with my thumb, waiting for something to happen, for electricity to start arcing between the prongs or something. Instead, the bar fills with the slide of my thumb. I push it all the way up until the color turns a dark violet. I hear a snarl and see Amicus finally tear the cape off before he comes at me again, one paw still over his crotch, the other reaching out for me. I don't have time to think. I just duck under the approaching paw and press the prongs as hard as I can into his body. It sinks into his stomach and I hear the wolf make a huff sound into my ear. There's a pause as nothing seems to happen, then I press harder and squeeze the device into its result is instant. There's no sound, but Amicus's body seizes violently, shaking as if he's having a seizure. The muscles in his stomach tense hard and push the device back out a few inches. I hold it there, not wanting to let up in case it isn't enough, in case he'll just recover and come at me again. After a few seconds, the wolf's seizing and shuddering stops on its own. I start to pull back and get a glimpse of Amicus's face. His muzzle hangs open, foam and drool hanging from his chin, his eyes rolling back in his head. It's a scary sight, so I try to back away and Amicus comes with me, the contact of the device having been the only thing keeping him balanced. His weight takes me down, and the next thing I know is I'm flat on my back struggling to breathe as Amicus's incredible weight crushes me into the metal deck. He practically envelops me into his soft, furry body, his big head resting on my chest. I stare down at him, watching as his black lips and eyelids twitch, his tongue hanging out as it makes a weird snorting sounds. I gasp and strain as I spend the next minute working myself out from under him, grimacing at the foamy drool smears on my chest. Finally, I manage to break free from his dead weight and crawl a few feet away, spending a few moments catching my breath. I look back at his still twitching form, his rump stuck slightly up in the air. I wonder how long I have before he wakes up. There's a long, shiny, thin cord around my left wrist as I start to work at the knot. It's a strange material, smooth and metallic, yet it bends as easily as rope. It's a pain in the ass getting it undone, though. It's like the dumb wolf just put as many knots into it as he could. He probably had no idea what he was doing, and now it makes sense why I was able to get it out so easily. While I'm undoing the mess, I keep looking over at him. The twitches and snorts are subsiding, and I'm not sure which I'm not sure is a good thing or not. Come on. I grunt as I finally pull the last tangle out, straightening the metal rope thing out of both of my hands. Look between it and the knocked out wolf in front of me, giving my head a little shake. What the fuck is even happening? I get to work, planting my butt on Amicus's as I pull both of his paws behind his back. I have some difficulty keeping my balance as I lift his heavy arms and still start winding the rope around his wrists. I'm not exactly an expert at tying hands behind backs either, but I feel far more confident in my work than Amicus ever should have on his own. I guess his carelessness makes some sort of sense considering I'm a tiny human and he's a giant canine. He probably thought he'd just be able to toss me back into the closet if I got free. I look over my satisfied with how neat and tight the binding is. I shift and almost slide off the wolf's ass, forcing me to put my hands back and steady myself on his thighs. They're thick and heavily muscled, and that makes me realize there also might be a problem. While binding his arms is a start, I have no doubt in my mind he'd be able to take me out with a few nasty kicks. I stand up and start looking around for more of that rope, but that's when I notice something strange happening outside the windows. Thin streaks of white light stretch and bend, moving slowly as front before arcing in long lines to the sides and disappearing from sight. I stare, mesmerized, then suddenly feel sick at the sight. I avert my eyes, looking at the wall while I watch the strange lights show out of the corner of my eye. Are those stars? Are we in some sort of wormhole, or what is it called, hyperspace? I start to get the feeling that I'm very, very far from Earth now, which makes me feel even more sick. I want to keep my mind off of it, so I set about searching the deck for more of that metal rope, trying to ignore that we might be moving at the speed of light into the depths of space. I don't have much luck. Most everything in the ship is flush to its surface with very few moving parts. I end up going back to the utility closet, and that's when I see the metal polygon with a long cord sticking out of it, the one I'd knocked off the shelf earlier. I lean over and pull at it, deciding that it should hold, even if it's more plasticky and not metal. 5 minutes later, and I have his legs bound together. I search around for the taser for another minute before finding it pinned between Amicus's chest and the deck. I'm hot and sweaty as I finally sit against the opposite wall, staring at the face-down wolf and his bindings. I weigh the taser in my hand, going over scenarios in my mind for what I'm going to say to him when he wakes back up. Ugh. I'm not sure how long it takes, maybe an hour, maybe 2, before Amicus starts to stir. First he groans and he rolls over a few times, and draws up his bound legs before trying to work his paws free. Finally he opens his eyes, and because he's on his side, I'm the first thing he sees. He squints, frowns, then groans again, turning over onto his stomach. His stomach! What the hell? I clear my throat and swallow, trying not to show how nervous I am. Yeah, what the hell? You tased me again. What? Amicus turns his head to look at me again, then looks away, letting out another groan. Oh, my stomach, what did you do? Exactly what you did to me. I hold up my taser, turning it into light so the wolf can fully see it. Amicus stares at it for a moment before letting his face fall back onto the floor on the deck. Fuck. Yeah, fuck. I feel like I'm on fire. Did you use it at full power? What the hell is wrong with you? Despite my fear and anxiety over the entire situation, I'm able to feel indignant. Me? You did the same to me, then lied to me, then tased me again, then tied me up. You're crazy. I would never use full power on anyone. Ugh. Amicus seems to ignore my rant as he rolls onto his back, arching over his tied paws, probably stretching out the muscles that I had hit with the taser. I wait a while longer, listening to his grunts, groans, and complaints as Amicus continues to whine. I'm not that stupid, though. I can tell he's stalling for time, trying to figure out a way to get out of this. I stand up. Take me home! Amicus opens one eye, glaring at me. What? I said take me home! Amicus goes quiet for a moment, his eyes closed, then he forces himself to sit up, visibly cringing as he's forced to use his stomach muscles. He scoots back with more complaints until he plants his back against the wall behind him. I see his shoulders shift, his biceps bulging, and can tell that he's working and testing the restraints. I raise the taser. Stop moving or I'm gonna hit you again. Fuck off. I move towards him, brandishing the taser like a sword. Hey! Amicus kicks his feet up, trying to block my attack. Now I see real fear in his eyes. Then stop moving and tell me how we will get back. I don't really want to shock him again. He did look really painful, and on top of that, I don't want to knock him out for hours while our little ship is hurtling through space. Amicus glares at me for a moment, his feet still in the air before he slowly lowers them. I'll show you if you let me go. I actually laugh, and then it seems to startle the wolf. Are you kidding me? Why would I trust you at all after what you've done to me? Amicus's ears flatten. Tell me where the hell you're taking me and why, otherwise I will zap you again. He seems at a loss for words. I can't tell you. I glare forehand up for a moment. I consider just jabbing him again right then and there. Why not? Then the wolf remains silent as he looks away from me. I feel myself getting even more angry. I'm tired of this alien holding me hostage. Well, I guess I just have to figure it out on my own then.